Hello everybody, it is Future Zelda here, back for another video. Sorry if it's been a while, but coming soon in May, mid-May, is the 20th Zelda game, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So I thought, why not go over the 19 previous games from 1986 to 2017 to, prepare for the next game. So I'm going to be making a tier list of all 19 currently released Zelda games. I mean, Hyrule Warriors is on this list, but obviously I'm not going to count that. I don't know why it's on this list. So we have SS tier, S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, and F tier. Although I don't think any of these games will be quite F tier material. So to start out, we have the classic, the original, the way too cryptic and hard, but still decent, Legend of Zelda, 1986 on the NES. Post-apocalyptic stuff. I'm gonna give this game. I give it like a 8 out of 10. So I'm gonna give it a not D tier. I'm gonna give it. I think it's A tier material. A tier, is that too high? I don't know. A lot of people probably think that's too high. I think that's the perfect spot for this game. Honestly, I think this game did a lot of good things. It's also the start of the franchise. I mean, it had a few problems, but I don't think the problems take away from the game that much. And even if, yes, it is very cryptic and hard to figure out where stuff is, but if you know someone who maybe played the game when it first came out and like used the manual and stuff, I don't know, then it's not that hard to figure out. Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. I'm gonna give this game a B tier. I think it's got huge problems. It's way too hard, like super difficulty spikes and everything. But I think it tried to be good. I like the 2D stuff. I like the story. I think it has like an amazing story and world building. The magic was just awesome. The enemies were cool. The Return of Ganon, that was nice. Overall, underrated game. Both of these two games are underrated. But the second one does have a lot of significant problems, so I'm going to have to put it in B tier, maybe C tier, I don't know. Let's stick with B for now. Now, the third, the classic A Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past. SS tier, definitely. Second best Zelda game, in my opinion, like 9.75, maybe 9.95 out of 10. Yeah, I think 9.75 is fair. Because I think this game just perfectly defines a Zelda game, and everything, well, not everything in Zelda came from this game. I mean, a lot of it came from Ocarina of Time, or some of it came from the original, but a good chunk of modern Zelda today we have A Link to the Past to thank for. Lake Hylia, The Lost Woods, Hyrule Castle, they all came from this game. Zelda's theme, the Dark World theme, the Fairy Fountain theme, we have to thank A Link to the Past for all those things. So that is why I am putting A Link to the Past in double S tier. Now, on to Link's Awakening. Link's Awakening, I'm going to have to give a B tier. Also, I'm going to move Zelda 2 down to C tier, just because there's better games. Anyways, Link's Awakening, I don't get why. I think Link to the Past should have gotten a remake instead of it, to be honest. But I think Link's Awakening is a good follow-up to Link to the Past. It's a very interesting game. Link kills a bunch of people, arguably, at the end, which is interesting. Also, it was the first handheld Zelda game, and for the technology they had at the time with handheld games on the Game Boy, I think, honestly, it was pretty impressive. So, especially even the DX version is pretty good, and the Switch version is pretty good too. Also, the music in this game, like A Link to the Past, just has great music. So I'm gonna have to put Link's Awakening in B tier. Next on to, in my opinion, the most overrated game of all time, Ocarina of Time, which I am still gonna put in A tier just because it's a classic, even if it is a bit overrated. I don't think it's best game of all time material because it has some flaws. But I think it's a classic, it invented a lot of things that are core to the Zelda franchise. Everything that wasn't invented by the first Zelda or A Link to the Past came from Ocarina of Time. So, yeah, like all the tribes, like the Zora, Gerudo, Gorons, Hylian, Sheikah, That's all. We have Ocarina of Time to thank for that. Same with Ganondorf. I mean, Ganon being human was kind of weird, but I think we all have gotten used to it. I mean, it's been quite a few years now. So that is why I'm going to put Ocarina of Time in A tier. Majora's Mask, also another overrated game, but I'm going to put it in high B tier above Link's Awakening because I like the spooky aspects. I like that the Majora was interesting. The whole parallel world sort of vibes were interesting. Yeah, especially the mature themes are good. So yeah, Majora's Mask B tier. Also the music is good in that one too. Next on to the Oracle games, which I think are pretty good. I'm gonna put Oracle of Seasons in B tier and Oracle of Ages in high C tier above Zelda 2 because Oracle of Ages has a few flaws with the weird time travel stuff, but Oracle of Seasons is decent. And I think overall the villains are pretty good in this game. The whole Ganon Resurrection plotline was done pretty well here compared to Zelda 2 and other games. And I think Holodrum and Labyrinth, while they do just in kind of like not Hyrule places, I mean they are still pretty good. And these games do honor A Link to the Past and Link's Awakening very well. And I do like the nods to the original Zelda that I don't remember which of these games has, but one of these games, the dungeons and bosses have a lot of nods to the original Zelda, so I like that. Four Swords, I'm gonna have to give a D tier just because, well, there's not much to say about it. I mean, it's a pretty short game. I honestly don't really know why the two Four Swords games are canon. The Wind Waker, I'm gonna give an A tier because it's a very unique game. It gave Ganondorf some character development. King Daphnis was good too. The whole Link and Zelda were very different in this game. What I like best about Wind Waker is that it changed the standard formula that all Zelda games had before it, and it mixed things up. And also, Hyrule being an ocean was kind of interesting. Overall, I thought the Wind Waker was just a very interesting game, a very unique game, and I like things that are unique. So yeah. Four Swords Adventures is another D tier, although I'm gonna put it above the other Four Swords just because of the nods to Link to the Past. Also the fact that it's like a bigger game, so there's more going on, and there is the 4-player thing, which is probably I don't know. I think it's done a little better in that one. The big problems with Four Swords Adventures, though, that are that the world is just very inconsistent, and it shouldn't be canon. It's like there's things like Hyrule's an island if you look at the map, and the Dark World, and there's this Ice Realm, and all these other things that are just completely retconning the entire franchise. Also, a new Ganon is just weird. Like this game sounds like something like Hyrule Warriors that would never ever be canon, but I guess it is, which just kind of bothers me. I think it completely. The adult timeline, I think, is my favorite timeline, the child timeline with Twilight Princess and Majora's Mask. But Four Swords Adventures just completely ruins that timeline. Like, it does not belong. No, the Minish Cap. I'm gonna give this one a B tier too because very good game. I like the high roll in this game. I like the nods to Ocarina of Time. Eslo and the Minish were pretty good. I think Vadi was done good in this game compared to the lesser games that he was in, the Four Swords games. His origin story was done pretty well here. The story for Link's hat being from Eslo, which was pretty interesting, although it was retconned by Skyward Sword, but whatever. So yeah, I think Minish Cap is a decent game, especially in Game Boy Advance games are pretty good. And for a handheld game, it's pretty impressive. Now, Twilight Princess, I'm gonna give an S tier just because it had problems with the gameplay. The motion controls are kind of weird. I honestly just found it a bit difficult personally, although that's just me, probably. This game, everything else though, in every other field, this game is almost perfect. It's very underrated. It's very dark. Mature, and it has probably the best story in any Zelda game, and some of the best music in any Zelda game. Like the music is just S tier, double S tier in this game, and well, the story is just double S tier too, but the game itself is S tier just because it has a few flaws. But overall, Twilight Princess is a very good game. Phantom Hourglass, I'm gonna put between Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker. I didn't know much about this game until recently, but I watched a stream of it from a YouTuber called Point Crow, and then I actually learned some stuff about the game. And once again, for a DS game, it's pretty impressive. And I think this game is very underrated. Very good, and honestly, I think it's the better of the two DS games for Zelda. But yeah, I think Phantom Hourglass was a good follow-up to the Wind Waker, and it's just a very interesting game, very unique, like the Wind Waker. Spirit Tracks, I'm gonna give this a B tier too, just because, well, the music is good, the trains were interesting, Malladus was interesting, but the whole new Hyrule thing I just found kind of weird. Like, they had a pattern going here. Wind Waker was very unique, Phantom Hourglass was very unique, and then they just come in Spirit Tracks with a new Hyrule sort of thing. But overall, it's a pretty decent game, and it did have unique things about it, so yeah. Skyward Sword, I'm gonna give a C tier, just because, yes, this game does have amazing music, maybe an S tier soundtrack, I don't know, maybe A tier, and the animation style is good here, but this game has huge problems with gameplay and story. See, by itself, the story is decent, but the fact that everything's happening through like a reincarnation cycle, and that Ganon has just been a reincarnation of this demise dude, and there's also now a goddess Hylia instead of just the 3 golden goddesses. It really changed up the story a lot, and I think it made the story a bit worse. I think the story of Hyrule overall was better before that, although I suppose it did give us a decent origin story for Hyrule, but I think Skyward Sword is still a flawed game, and the worst of the 3D games. Now, A Link Between Worlds. I like this game. I'm going to put it in B tier. My only problem with it, because I think it did a lot of good things honoring Link to the Past in that kind of way and stuff, I think its only problem comes from the world building, and that Lorule is kind of a weird idea, and the fact that there's another Triforce, it just seems kind of very strange. Like, of all the alternate worlds we see across the Zelda franchise, Lorule is probably just the one that makes the least sense. Because, I don't know, I just found it kind of weird. But other than that, this game is very good game. Triforce Heroes, I'm gonna say that's my least favorite game, and D tier, because it's multiplayer fun stuff like the other two, like the Four Swords games, but at least they explained why there was multiple links in those other two games. They do not explain that here in Triforce Heroes. There's just 2 other links for some reason. Also, there's virtually no story in this game, and the story that is there is just weird and stupid. I get it's a good game it would be a good game for a non-canon game, but for a canon game that's in the main timeline, it just, no. And I mean, no wonder they just threw it in the downfall timeline, right? I mean, yeah, well, I think the worst game was followed up by the best game, which I'm going to put above A Link to the Past in double S tier, Breath of the Wild. Now, I'm tired of people saying it's not a real Zelda game. I made a video on why it's my favorite game, because nothing is perfect in my opinion, but Breath of the Wild is pretty darn close. The only thing that's keeping it from being perfect is the fact that the dungeons are kind of stupid. But sure, that is a big problem, but I think this game just has so much good stuff going on in it that all the good in Breath of the Wild outweighs any bad that there is. Any weapon durability problems or dungeon problems, I think, is outweighed by all the good things that this game has, and that this game has brought to the franchise. And I hope Tears of the Kingdom, yes, fixes any flaws Breath of the Wild had, and maybe it brings back some of the traditional stuff, but I hope it keeps the formula of Breath of the Wild too, and I hope Tears of the Kingdom carries on the legacy of Breath of the Wild. Now, that is it for my Zelda game tier list, so go over with it in SS tier. In the best tier, we have double S tier, we have The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and A Link to the Past, the best games in my opinion. In one single S tier, we have Twilight Princess, which is close to best. In A tier, we have classics like The Legend of Zelda 1986 and Ocarina of Time. We also have some pretty good, unique, and very interesting and good games like Phantom Hourglass and The Wind Waker. In B tier, we have other good games like Majora's Mask, Link's Awakening, Oracle of Seasons, The Minish Cap, Spirit Tracks, and A Link Between Worlds, which are all pretty good games. I'm gonna put A Link Between Worlds above those ones. I'm gonna put it right there. In C tier, we have decent games like Oracle of Ages, The Adventure of Link, Skyward Sword. These games all had. I said Oracle of Ages doesn't have that many problems, but The Adventure of Link and Skyward Sword, they're problematic games, but they have good things. D tier is games that have problems and less good things going on. Four Swords Adventures is problematic. Four Swords is problematic. Triforce Heroes is just plain bad. But honestly, I don't think any of these games are bad enough to be worth F tier. So yeah, that's the tier list. I hope you enjoyed. See you guys next time, and remember to, if you enjoyed the video, to maybe give it a like and maybe subscribe. I really appreciate the support, and thanks for the people who have supported me so far. Thank you very much for that. And comment your opinions below. I'd be interested in seeing your guys' thoughts on this tier list, or maybe I don't know, just maybe email me or Discord me your own tier lists if you want. Yeah, I will provide the link to this tier list in the description. I did change it up a little bit. Well, yeah, leave your thoughts in the comments, and that's it for today. See you next time.